thank you very much for coming on to Nature's Therapies Animal Behaviour and Training page to hear all about how to help your pets with fireworks. So fireworks season is a month away now, which to some people may seem like ages away, and to others will seem like it's just around the corner and you're all panicking. So first things first, stop panicking. Panicking never helped anybody. Being proactive does. Okay, so we're going to look today at some really easy little things that you can do with your pets when firework displays are going off, building up to them, to make sure that they can cope as well as they can. Okay, so the first thing that we are going to talk about is this lovely little poster. Okay, I'm going to pop this up on my website so that you can download it, and it contains all of the information about what we're going to talk about today. So I'm not going to keep you long. We're going to keep this a nice short video just to give you some hints and tips on how to help your pets with fireworks. Okay, so we're going to do some do's and don'ts. Okay, I'm going to start with the don'ts just because they're a little bit easier than the do's in terms of they're more obvious. We'll just get them out of the way first of all. Okay, so the first one is don't take your pets to the firework display. Now that may seem really obvious, but I have heard people saying just take your pets along, they'll get over it, they'll be fine, and it's just the worst advice you can ever give. Do not take your pets to the fireworks display. Even if your pets are good with the fireworks side of things, the amount of people that could potentially be there, obviously not so much this year, the food, the smells, the sights, everything is just all a bit much. Okay, so just categorically do not take your pets to these firework displays. Okay, if you're having a firework display in your own garden and you're worried about your pet, shut them inside somewhere safe so that they can't get themselves into mischief. Okay, but do not take your pets to the firework display is the biggest piece of advice that I can give you to start with. If a firework display is going off and your pets are panicking, do not use any form of punishment with them. Okay, so that's shouting, any form of kind of moving them away, anything like that. We just don't want any punishment. They're reacting because they're worried. So if they're worried about something, you reacting by punishing or freaking out with them is only going to make that worse. Okay, so no punishment, please. We do not want that. Try to not restrain your pet physically yourself if possible. So it can be really tempting when our animals are freaking out to try and grab onto them and hold them, but that can make it so much worse for them. So if they're worried about something and they're trying to run around and escape, you grabbing onto them and holding them can just make that panic worse rather than better. So let them move about, let them go to places where they want to go. In particular, when we're talking about restraint, it can be things like leads as well. So if you've got your dog on a lead, that lead could snap, they could slip their collar, they could slip their harness, anything like that, okay? In terms of horses, a lot of people think, oh, I'll pop my horse in the stable so that they're shut in and safe when the fireworks are going off, whereas actually they're better off being left in the field where they can run about and get rid of some of that energy and see what's going on. So they can see the fireworks, they can run, get rid of that energy, and then they can realise nothing bad has happened. In the stable, they could kick the door down, they could kick the walls, they could really, really hurt themselves. So try and give them space to move where possible for any animal so they can go through that flight response and then realise that actually they're okay. Okay? A biggie for dogs, and similar for cats in this sense, is do not take them out around the time a firework display is going to happen. So if you know that in your village, in your town, firework displays are happening for cats, perhaps shut them in for that night. So you're not restraining them physically still, they've still got the run of the house, but they're not outside where they can become scared and get lost. For dogs, some people think that taking them out for a walk and getting them out and about can be the best thing, whereas actually it can be the worst thing ever, because if a display goes off suddenly, it can freak them out. So after dusk, I wouldn't take them out during fireworks season. So fireworks generally last a week, kind of at the minute, is roughly what's going on in terms of reports and things. So for that week around Halloween, November the 5th, that sort of time, when it gets dark, don't take your animals out, especially if you know a fireworks display is going to go off. Now, the big problem that people might face this year, for those of you that do have animals that are firework reactive, is that quite a lot of the big displays which are advertised so you know when they're going to happen can't happen because of COVID restrictions, which means there is a higher chance that there's going to be more COVID safe groups of 6 in a house having firework displays in their own back gardens. So they're not going to be as predictable as to when they're going to go off. Now, what you can do is you can speak to your neighbours and you can sort of say to them, I do have a dog who is scared of fireworks. Could you please just let me know what time roughly you're going to let them off? And then you can all be aware of what's going to go on and you can help each other out that way. Okay, but that is one thing to think about this year. Big displays that are advertised potentially aren't happening because of COVID unless they found a COVID safe way of doing it. So there is a higher chance that there's going to be more back garden displays of public buying their own fireworks and doing them in the back. Okay, so that's just something to be aware of. It doesn't mean to panic, and I think everyone will be fine. The main thing is, like I keep saying, don't panic with your animal. Panic does not help anyone. Okay, so we've rattled quickly through the don'ts. If at any point you have questions, feel free to pop them in the comments and I will get round to answering those towards the end. If you're not watching this video live, still pop your comments in. I will keep an eye on what's going on and I will try and answer those questions for you as quickly as possible. Okay, but just to go over the don'ts again, don't take your pet to a firework display. Don't shout or use any form of punishment if your pets are barking at the fireworks. They're barking because they're scared, so that won't help them at all. Try and not restrain your pet physically yourself or tie them up anywhere or shut them in a small space where they can hurt themselves. And do not take them out for a walk around the time of a firework display or after dusk if you want to be safe. Okay, so most people do fireworks when it's dark. So once it's become dark, don't take your pets outside. So let's talk about some of the do's. Calmly reassure your pet. Okay, now there is a big difference between calmly reassuring your pet and panicking with them. We don't want to be panicking with them. That is not what we want to be doing. Okay, you cannot reinforce fear by calmly reassuring them and being natural yourself. Okay, so the best thing you can do when a firework display is going off is have a really lovely film on the TV or read a book or just do something so that you're occupied, so that you're not focusing just on the animal. So if you're really focusing on the dog, for example, that's freaking out, all that intention on them can be quite a lot. Whereas if you're doing something and you're distracted, you're going to be calmer. You can calmly talk to your pet. So I've got a cat called Tony, so you can say, that's fine, Tony, it's just fireworks, it's not a problem. It's all really nice and calm. It's not, that's okay, Tony, don't panic. That panicking with them isn't going to help. So keep it nice and calm, keep it nice and relaxed. Watch TV. If they're up on the sofa with you, you can just calmly stroke them. Really slow movements, all really nice, relaxed stuff. If they bark, let them bark. It's for one night. Just give them lots of calm reassurance. That's absolutely fine, okay? Not panicking with them, calm reassurance. Everything's fine. It's just a firework. It'll be over soon. With that point, firework displays do not go on forever. It may feel like they do sometimes for those of you that do have reactive pets, but they do not go on forever. They are normally, especially back garden ones, quite short. Okay, so it's not going to necessarily be all night. Obviously, if you've got a couple going on around you, then I understand that can be difficult, but just try and stay calm yourself. Getting angry about what's going on as well isn't going to help. So getting annoyed at your neighbours or at a professional company for putting on display isn't going to help. It's just going to make you really anxious and annoyed, and you're going to pass that energy and emotion onto your animals, and they're going to get more anxious about it. So just try and lots of deep breaths, lots of staying really calm yourself, and calmly reassure your pet. So you can talk to them, but don't panic with them. Okay. Point 2, have something on in the background to try and dilute the sound. Okay, so put the TV on or put the radio on, have some noise there that can help dilute that sound of fireworks. So just turn the volume up a little bit. Animals have amazing hearing, way better than ours, so they will still be able to hear things, but it just helps to dilute that sound, okay? And again, it gives you something to do so that you can be watching it. Close the curtains so that they can't see all the flashing. For a lot of animals, it can be the light as well as the sound, okay? And it can also sometimes be the vibrations. If you're close enough to the fireworks display, the animals might be picking up the vibrations from the fireworks going off. So the more you can shut down some of those stimuli, so turning the TV on shuts down the noise stimuli, shutting the curtains shuts out the light stimuli, okay? Obviously the vibrations, you can't do too much about that other than just that reassurance, but we're just narrowing down everything so they're not being bombarded by lots of different things going on, okay? So Tracy, you've just asked if wrap coats work. Do you mean like the thunder shirts in terms of wrap coats? Just wait for Tracy to see. So wrap coats, if I'm understanding Tracy correctly, you mean like the thunder shirts. So they're a tight coat that goes on. It's kind of like having like a hug. It's kind of like stimulating a hug in that sense. Yes, that can work for some animals, but it really does depend on the individual. So some dogs do not love being touched or kind of smothered, I suppose. So if your dog loves being touched and they generally calm down when you're stroking them and they like that side of things, then yes, wrap coats can help. Whereas if your dog is a bit touch aversive, so they don't like to be touched by you or by having a harness on or anything like that, then that can actually make it worse. So we don't want to make things worse. So just really think about the individual animal in that sense. So I know that's a bit of a yes no answer, but it really does come down to everything being individual, as does anything in behaviour. So if they like being hugged, if they like being touched all over, if they like that, then yes, wrap coats can be great. It can help them feel really secure and like they're being hugged. If, however, they're a bit touch aversive and don't really like having lots of contact, then it could just make them panic because they feel too restricted. So what I would suggest in terms of wrap coats is try them on a normal day. So right now there are no displays going on, it's a normal day. Pop the wrap coat on, the thunder shirt on, and see how your dog reacts, see if they like it or not, before you then try and do it during a display. Okay, so yes, wrap coats can work, but try them first because they don't work for everyone. It's not one solution fits all in that sense. Okay, so we've spoken about closing the curtains so they can't see the flashing lights. Some dogs are better when they can see what's going on. So a little bit like what I was saying with the horses earlier, if you actually let them be in the field to run about and see what's going on, they're better. So sometimes if they're actually okay looking at it, then you can leave it open because they can see what's going on and they're fine. So again, it's trying different things out. If the fireworks are going off and the animal is freaking out, try shutting the curtains, popping the TV on. If that doesn't help, see if actually opening the curtains so they can see the fireworks helps them. Sometimes it can, but do not take them to the display. If the display is several gardens over or in the distance, then yes, if your garden is secure, then you can take them out to the garden so that they can hear and see it. But that's very, very different to taking them to the display, okay? There's a big, big difference between desensitization and flooding, and I will be doing another video on that to explain that a bit more, probably for next Wednesday's video. So I'm going to try and do these videos every week for you. Going into the garden's fine as long as the fireworks aren't right next door, because that's probably going to be a bit too much, but they can see it. Okay, so try with the curtains closed. If that's not working, you can try with them open. Again, it's picking bits that work for you from this. It's not going to be one size fits all in terms of solutions. Make your dog or your cat or any animal you've got, rabbits, birds, anything, make them a safe den or a safe space they can go. Okay, so for some animals, they like going into the bathroom. They can sit in the bath, not with any water in it, and they can chill out there. For others, having a crate can be fantastic where you can cover it in blankets. Under the dining table can sometimes be a good place. It's just somewhere where they can go and you don't necessarily follow them. So if they shoot under the table and they just want to lay under there and chill out, just leave them be. Let them have that safe space where they can chill out. You can pre-prep it by putting blankets under there, pillows under there, some toys, some chews, anything to make it really, really lovely. But it's their little safe den where they feel a little bit more closed but can still come and go as they please. So we've not shut them in there. It's somewhere they can choose to go if they want. With that, let them move about. So we've said about that before. So let them move. Don't restrict them to sitting next to you on the sofa or being in the same room. If they want to run upstairs and hide, let them do that. So Tony the cat can be a bit of a prime example of that. She used to be terrified of strangers and she used to run upstairs and hide. But over time, she gradually brought herself downstairs and now will sit with us. But I didn't force that. I let her choose and let her move about and be free. And that's exactly what I'm suggesting you do here. So let your animals move about, let them go to where they want to go, give them freedom of movement, obviously to places that are safe. Keep them distracted is a really, really good one. So counter conditioning is pairing something that they don't like, such as the fireworks, with something amazing, okay? So counter conditioning can be fantastic when you're using it in training. So if there's a firework display going off, train your animal, have some fun games, do some find its, do some real basic obedience that's not difficult. So like sits, downs, hand touches, spins, leg weaves, make it really fun, have a game of tug, anything like that. Just make it really, really fun so that while that scary noise is going off in the background and in the distance, they're actually having a really, really good time. It can help distract them and it can help them actually start learning that sounds nothing to worry about and actually good things are happening at that time. Take them out for a walk during the day, so a good couple of hours before that firework display is due to go off or before dusk. Getting rid of that energy so they're not all pet up and stressed because they've not been on a walk that day can help them remain calmer later on. But it's really important that you don't take them for a walk during the display. I cannot stress that enough. Do not take your animals out during a firework display, okay? Take them out during the day beforehand to get rid of that energy, to get rid of that walk, and then during the display inside your home, or if you've got a secure garden and the display is far enough away, do some training outside, do some training inside, make it a really fun experience for them. You can also try other things like plugging in Adaptil plugins, okay, or Pet Remedy is fantastic. So using Pet Remedy diffusers, you can plug them in. I'd suggest plugging them in a couple of hours before the display goes off so that it starts working, keeping it on throughout display, and then unplugging it a couple of hours after, just so there's a nice bridge either side. You can also use other herbal calming products such as CSJ Herbal. So with that, it can take up to 6 weeks for it to fully integrate into a dog's system. So I wouldn't start it the day of the fireworks. I would start it at least a week before. So maybe start it from the week before Halloween as such. So maybe sort of start it around the 25th of October, 20th of October. Keep them on it until just after firework night. It can just help them be nice and chilled. Or if you really, really are struggling and they really just are not coping with the display at all, have a chat with your vets, because there are different medications that your vets could prescribe that are short term to just get them through that firework display, to get them through that period, which just helps them be relaxed, helps them be chilled, helps them cope better. Okay, so do get your vets involved in this conversation if you are worried about your animals with fireworks. Okay, so I've rattled those things off really, really quickly. I am aware of that. So if you do have any questions, please do give me a shout. Okay, like I said, it's not one size fits all. There's loads of different things you can do to help them. Something that might help your friend might not help you, and you need to bear that in mind. So like I said, for some animals, seeing the fireworks, they can cope better with that because they can see what the noise is and what's going on. For others, the light stimulation is too much and the curtains being closed massively helps them. So do have a play around with it. If you are worried about your pets, by all means contact myself as a behaviourist or other local behaviourists that you might have, get some advice from them. I'm more than happy to help you with things like that. And do head over to my website, and I'm going to pop this poster up which has got everything we've spoken about today up there that you can download, you can save it to your computers, you can print it. Okay, it will be up there. I'll pop a link in the comments for you for this, but it's www.natures-therapies.co.uk, and it will be up there. It's not up there just yet. I'll be uploading it at the end of this video for you. Okay. Thank you, Becky. Yes, so Becky's just said some great ideas there. So do help each other out with things, you know, talk to each other as well, so you can say about what works for you, but just remember every dog is an individual, so what works for some might not work for others, and make sure you're being safe. So no punishments, because that's just going to make them feel worse. If they're scared and then you punish them, they're just going to become more scared. The behaviour of barking, for example, might stop but they're still going to feel that internal fear. They're now just too worried to tell you they're afraid because you've used punishment, which is not a great place to be in at all. We don't want behaviours to shut down, we want to fix them, not shut them down, okay? So stay positive with everything you do. Any questions, pop them in the comments box. If you're watching this video later on, still pop them in there. I'm also going to upload this to YouTube, so do check out our Nature Therapies YouTube channel. And every Wednesday I'm going to try and do a Wednesday wisdom video for you on different topics. So if there's any topics you want me to chat about and cover, also pop them in the comments and I will try and make you a little video link on them, okay? So I hope that's helped you. And not been too much of a bombardment of information. Stay calm. There's a big difference between calm reassurance and panicking with your animal. Give them things to do, make it a fab experience, watch TV, things like that, okay? There are firework desensitization programs that we can do. So as a behaviourist, if you came to me and said your dog was firework reactive, I could be working with you doing that. With only a month to go, there's not much time for stuff like that. You need to be working a good couple of months before firework night. But having said that, starting now is better than not starting at all. So if you have got an animal that is reactive with fireworks, do give me a call, do give me a message. There's still things we can do in terms of desensitizing them to the sounds and sights of fireworks to make them be able to cope, okay? But fireworks don't need to be a big scary thing. Animals can learn to quite happily coexist with firework displays and not be stressing. It just involves us helping them get there a little bit, okay? Quite often, for example, thunderstorms last way longer than fireworks, and that's naturally occurring. So, you know, we can get them there, we just have to help them. We have to help them learn it's nothing to be afraid of, okay? But I hope that helps, and I hope to see you all in the next video next week.